Right from dirty rooms, filthy food, ignorant owners, and shabby service, Hotel Hell brings to you absolute entertainment.
Look, that was not me. Looks like someone pooped on the wall.
No.
But what happened in this episode was disturbing to the core. Alright, let's dive into the absolute madness that is the Cambridge Hotel. First off, we meet John Imhoff, the owner, and let's just say he's got a serious stick up his ass.
I didn't intend to be a hands-on owner, but I am always at the hotel doing something.
This grumpy old man is as stubborn as a mule, and boy does he make it known.
I'll finish this up.
But John takes away my control. I have no control.
From the moment Chef Ramsay steps foot into the hotel, you can sense the tension. John is resistant to change, clinging to outdated practices like they're his last lifeline. It's like trying to convince a dinosaur to use an iPhone. Totally impossible, dude. Now, let's talk about the decor, or should I say horror show.
The Cambridge Hotel, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yes.
It's died, you mean?
No.
Walking through the Cambridge Hotel feels like stepping into a haunted museum. The walls are covered with old, creepy photos that look like they belong in a horror movie. Seriously, these pictures could give you nightmares.
And, oh God. Are they the owners?
No.
The wallpaper in the bedrooms? Don't even get me started. It's this ghastly floral pattern that looks like it hasn't been updated since the 1800s.
What is that?
Just there.
So there's no handcuffs? No, okay.
The place is rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a little girl who died there. Yep, you heard that right. If the decor doesn't scare you away, the ghost stories surely will.
Good
Yeah.
God, she
Yeah.
looks like something out of The Exorcist.
She was 4 years old in 1913.
Next up, we venture into the hotel's restaurant, which is a complete disaster. The food is a joke and not the funny kind. Guests are visibly disgusted by the meals they're served. It's like they ordered a nightmare on a plate. Chef Ramsay, being the brave soul he is, decides to sample the food, and his reaction says it all. The dishes are bland, poorly cooked, and totally uninspired.
Look at the apples. Look, the apples are raw, not even baked. And I could scream when I see that.
It's no wonder the guests are less than impressed. But wait, there's more. The ambiance of the restaurant is just as bad as the food. The place is dark, dingy, and has zero charm.
Dated rooms, the cheap linens, and the pre-packaged food.
It's like eating in a dungeon, and not the cool medieval kind. The atmosphere is so uninviting that you'd rather have dinner in a creepy alleyway. Chef Ramsay, ever the trooper, tries to bring some life into the place, but it's an uphill battle. Now, let's talk about the kitchen. Oh boy, is it a mess. The chef, if you can even call him that, is lazier than a sloth on a Sunday. The dude refuses to cook fresh food and instead relies on frozen pre-packaged crap. Chef Ramsay is livid when he discovers this, and rightfully so. It's a total disgrace. Chef Ramsay's inspection of the kitchen reveals some seriously disturbing sights. Moldy food, dirty equipment, and a general lack of hygiene. It's a miracle no one has gotten food poisoning from this place. Throughout the episode, John continues to resist Ramsay's advice, digging his heels in deeper with every suggestion. It's frustrating to watch because it's clear that change is desperately needed. The staff is demoralized, the guests are fleeing, and the hotel is on the brink of collapse.
Fucking soulless. It's littered with shit antiques that are broken.
But John? He's too busy being a grumpy old man to see the writing on the wall. In the end, Ramsay does what he can to salvage the sinking ship that is the Cambridge Hotel. He revamps the decor, cleans up the kitchen, and tries to inject some life into the restaurant.
Oh my God, look at the floor. Wow.
But with an owner as stubborn as John, you can't help but wonder if it's all in vain. Watching this episode is like witnessing a train wreck in slow motion. You just can't look away. So there you have it. The Cambridge Hotel is a prime example of everything that can go wrong when stubbornness and outdated practices take precedence over common sense and quality service. It's a cautionary tale wrapped in a horror story, and it's one of the most disturbing episodes of Hotel Hell you'll ever see. But next up, we have another hotel from season 1 of Hotel Hell itself, the River Rock Inn. I mean, this is probably the most mismanaged hotel Chef Ramsay has ever encountered. From the get-go, the owner, Ken Pisciotta, comes off as a stubborn, clueless man with a serious stick up his ass.
I don't think Kenny has an idea how to run an inn.
Ken is thousands of dollars in debt and had to sell his home just to keep the inn afloat, which he now calls home. He's living in one of the guest rooms, a testament to his refusal to face reality and make necessary changes.
Living in his crumbling inn and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
This dude is so stuck in his ways that he's practically fossilized. As Chef Ramsay steps into the River Rock Inn, he's immediately hit with a wave of neglect and decay. The front desk is nowhere to be found, and Chef Ramsay, being the proactive guy he is, starts cleaning up dust and debris himself.
I know, I don't mind getting stuck in. Wow.
Finally, Karen, the assistant innkeeper, shows up and welcomes him. But by then, the damage is done. Chef Ramsay's first impression is already in the dumps, and things only get worse from there.
And 1880s.
I take it was decorated in 1880 as
It
well.
kind of looks that way.
The decor of the inn is a horror show. Chef Ramsay tours the rooms and common areas, uncovering a scene straight out of a nightmare. The walls are adorned with creepy, outdated photos that look like they belong in a haunted house.
It's been a while for the rooms. There is a closet over here.
The bedrooms are filthy, with stained bedspreads and dead bugs scattered about. The carpets are stained and the furniture looks like it's been dragged in from a junkyard.
Is stain for the week?
It's clear that cleanliness and upkeep are not high on Ken's priority list. The hotel is in total shambles, and the guests are well aware of it. The atmosphere is depressing, and the place has a ghost town vibe that makes you want to run for the hills.
Has got to be semen. Has this thing ever been washed?
But the decor and cleanliness aren't the only issues. The food and ambiance of the hotel's restaurant are just as abysmal. Chef Ramsay sits down to sample the food, and it's a complete disaster. The guests are visibly disgusted by the meals they're served. It's like they ordered a plate of disappointment with a side of regret. The dishes are poorly prepared, bland, and totally uninspired. Chef Ramsay's expressions say it all. He's horrified by what he's tasting.
I feel like I'm eating a fucking flip-flop with mayonnaise.
The ambiance of the restaurant is no better. It's dark, dingy, and completely uninviting. The place has zero charm, and eating there feels more like a punishment than a pleasure. The chef at the River Rock Inn is another major problem. This guy is the epitome of incompetence. He's lazy and refuses to cook fresh food, opting instead for frozen, pre-packaged crap. Ramsay's inspection of the kitchen reveals a horror show of its own. There's moldy food, dirty equipment, and a general lack of hygiene that's nothing short of alarming. It's a miracle no one has gotten food poisoning from this place. Throughout the episode, Ken's stubbornness continues to be a massive hurdle.
It's Ken. And it's not as if you're the captain of the Titanic, you're the fucking iceberg.
He resists Chef Ramsay's advice at every turn, clinging to his outdated methods and refusing to make necessary changes. It's frustrating to watch because it's clear that the inn is on the brink of collapse, and Ken's pride is standing in the way of any meaningful improvement.
I think of any good management's about communication, understanding, and putting yourself on their level.
Chef Ramsay, ever the trooper, does his best to turn things around. He revamps the decor, cleans up the kitchen, and tries to breathe new life into the restaurant.
We have a stunning colour on the walls, gone is that hideous paper. So now it's in keeping with a rustic charm.
But with an owner as obstinate as Ken, you can't help but wonder if it's all a waste of time and effort. Watching this episode is like witnessing a slow-motion train wreck. You just can't look away. In the end, the River Rock Inn stands as a cautionary tale of how stubbornness and incompetence can drive a business into the ground. It's a shocking display of mismanagement and neglect, and one of the most disturbing episodes of Hotel Hell you'll ever see. But did you think I'm done? Heck no! We're diving deeper into this list of disturbing moments. Now we're diving into one of the most jaw-droppingly bizarre episodes of Hotel Hell, the Keating Hotel. Buckle up, because this one's a wild ride filled with eccentricities, cringeworthy decor, and some truly terrifying discoveries. First off, let's talk about the owner, Eddie Kane. This guy is a real piece of work, a self-proclaimed Ferrari fanatic who's infused his love for luxury sports cars into every inch of the hotel.
The Keating was my vision. I was at the Ferrari dealer looking at cars, and it kind of just hit me. Why not?
Eddie is not just stubborn. He's utterly delusional, believing that his over-the-top vision is the pinnacle of hospitality. Picture this, a hotel designed to mimic a high-end sports car showroom. It's as weird as it sounds, and trust me, it gets worse. As Chef Ramsay steps into the Keating Hotel, he's immediately greeted by a clash of gaudy red and black decor reminiscent of a midlife crisis gone horribly wrong.
And sank millions into the interior design, but he spent peanuts on things the hotel really needs.
The lobby is filled with tacky car memorabilia, and the check-in desk looks like it was ripped straight out of a Ferrari dealership.
We stop at the car, each floor has a different model car.
Who's obsessed with the supercars?
It's an assault on the senses, and Chef Ramsay's face says it all. He's in for a rough stay. The rooms are no better. Ramsay explores the guest rooms and finds a nightmare of uncomfortable furniture and impractical design choices.
What's that thing there?
That is actually the jacuzzi tub.
In the middle of the lounge?
It is in the middle.
The beds are rock hard, the decor is garish, and the bathrooms are a mess of non-functional gadgets. One clip shows Chef Ramsay struggling with a shower control that's so complicated it might as well require a PhD to operate. Guests have complained about the poor quality of sleep and the overall lack of comfort, which is the opposite of what you'd expect from a luxury hotel. And then there's the food. Oh boy, the food! The Keating Hotel's restaurant is another disaster zone. The kitchen is filthy, and the staff is clearly undertrained and overwhelmed. In one shocking moment, a kitchen staff member actually passes out from the stress and heat, leaving Chef Ramsay and the rest of the team scrambling to help. This other instance captures the chaos perfectly, highlighting just how dire the situation is.
I need to get some answers from Eddie, the Keating's owner and visionary.
Chef Ramsay sits down to taste the food, and his reactions are priceless. The dishes are poorly cooked, bland, and completely uninspired. Another clip shows him spitting out a mouthful of dry, overcooked meat, his face contorted in disgust.
Way too much rosemary and just, it's shit.
It's clear that the kitchen is in dire need of a makeover, not just in terms of decor, but in basic culinary skills and hygiene practices.
Our room is not very clean.
There's hair in the sheets as well.
Throughout the episode, Eddie's weird quirks become more and more apparent.
Experience, you haven't spent a day in a kitchen. I've never seen anything so fragmented.
He's utterly convinced that his vision is flawless and refuses to listen to any of Chef Ramsay's advice.
Oh my god, don't give me that. You're not the owner of the place.
In another instance, Eddie dismisses Chef Ramsay's concerns with a wave of his hand, insisting that everything is just fine. It's infuriating to watch because the problems are glaringly obvious to everyone except Eddie. The restaurant's ambiance is equally as bad as the food. The dining area is dark, uninviting, and filled with more car-themed nonsense.
Please.
I just feel like this place was designed kind of form over function.
Guests are visibly uncomfortable, and it's no surprise that the hotel's reputation is in the gutter.
There was some really high-end stuff, and then at the same time, there was just simple amenities that were...
In another instance, a guest expresses their dissatisfaction, comparing the dining experience to eating in a garage.
Stand up this morning to have his breakfast while I took the only chair and sat at the desk.
Chef Ramsay's inspection of the kitchen is another highlight. He uncovers moldy food, dirty utensils, and a general lack of cleanliness that's enough to make anyone's stomach turn. One particularly disturbing moment shows Chef Ramsay pulling out a tray of rancid, spoiled meat, his face a mix of horror and anger. Despite all these issues, Eddie remains in denial. Chef Ramsay's frustration reaches its peak as he tries to knock some sense into the owner, but Eddie's stubbornness proves to be a formidable opponent. In a final, dramatic moment in the episode, Chef Ramsay gives Eddie a piece of his mind, emphasizing the urgent need for change if the Keating Hotel is to survive. So, there you have it, folks. The Keating Hotel episode of Hotel Hell is a masterclass in how not to run a hotel. From the bizarre decor to the horrifying kitchen conditions, it's a cautionary tale wrapped in a luxury sports car theme. If you're looking for a hotel experience that's more a nightmare than a dream, the Keating Hotel has you covered. Now, it's time to get into one of the most jaw-dropping episodes of Hotel Hell, featuring the infamous Towns Inn. This episode is packed with shocking moments that will leave you questioning how anyone could run a hotel this disastrously. Let's break down the insanity that unfolded in Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. First off, the owner, Karen Townsend, is a character straight out of a horror movie. She's deluded, completely disconnected from reality, and seems to be running the hotel like a deranged dictator.
Working for Karen is interesting. It's frustrating.
Chef Ramsay arrives and immediately senses that something is terribly wrong. From the second he steps foot in the hotel, the bizarre vibe is undeniable. Townsend's erratic behavior and nonsensical management style set the stage for a train wreck of epic proportions.
It's there for anybody that wants to borrow it.
Oh, I see. And does anyone borrow that? Karen?
They haven't yet.
When Chef Ramsay begins his tour, he's greeted by a decor that can only be described as an aesthetic nightmare.
Is this a convenience store or?
This is a dining room.
Every inch of the place is cluttered with an unhealthy amount of stuff piling up everywhere. It's like walking through a hoarder's paradise. Old, dusty knickknacks cover the walls, and the furniture looks like it was picked up from a roadside trash pile.
They are sort of souvenirs.
Oh, are you selling lots?
We do.
The bedrooms are no better, filthy, unkempt, and reeking of neglect.
Wow, this is crazy. I mean, I've never met such a basket case like this in all my life.
Chef Ramsay's expressions say it all. Sheer disbelief and disgust. Chef Ramsay's next stop is the kitchen, and what he finds is enough to turn anyone's stomach. The hygiene levels are abysmal.
And that's a fridge. So that's more like a fridge.
He discovers moldy food, dirty utensils, and a general state of filth that makes the kitchen a breeding ground for bacteria.
Ugh. Oh man.
I can show you the receipts that we buy.
But I'm not interested in the receipts.
Chef Ramsay's reaction is priceless. He's completely flabbergasted and appalled. This culinary atrocity is a clear sign that the hotel's restaurant is in dire straits. The restaurant's ambiance is equally dismal. Guests are subjected to a dining experience that's nothing short of torturous. The food is terrible, and the service is even worse.
And the most plastic-looking mac and cheese I've ever seen in my entire life. There's no seasoning in there.
Chef Ramsay observes as guests recoil in disgust at their meals, and it's clear that the restaurant is failing miserably. The incompetence of the kitchen staff only adds to the chaos, making the whole situation seem like a twisted comedy of errors. Throughout all this, Karen Townsend remains in denial. She refuses to acknowledge the severity of the issues and insists that everything is just fine. Her delusion reaches new heights as she argues with Chef Ramsay over every little thing, refusing to take any constructive criticism. It's a classic case of an owner with a stick up their ass, stubbornly clinging to their flawed ways. Despite the overwhelming challenges, Chef Ramsay doesn't give up. He implements drastic changes from decluttering the decor to overhauling the kitchen's hygiene practices. The staff is retrained, and a new menu is introduced to bring some semblance of quality to the restaurant. The transformation is nothing short of miraculous, but it's clear that it will take more than just a few changes to fix the deep-rooted issues at Towns Inn.
What we got here, we don't...
A boiled burger? Are you aware the burgers are boiled?
By the end of the episode, there's a glimmer of hope for Towns Inn, but it's evident that the road to recovery will be long and arduous. Chef Ramsay's intervention has provided the staff and the owner with the tools they need to turn things around, but whether they can maintain these changes remains to be seen. This episode of Hotel Hell is a roller coaster ride of emotions, from disbelief and disgust to hope and redemption. The sheer level of mismanagement and chaos at Towns Inn makes it one of the most memorable episodes in the series. Next up, we have yet another wild and outrageous ride. We're plunging into an insanely wild episode of Hotel Hell, spotlighting the notorious Roosevelt Inn. This one's a roller coaster of jaw-dropping moments and utterly disturbing discoveries you won't believe. From the moment Chef Ramsay steps foot onto the property, he knows he's in for a challenge. The Roosevelt Inn, run by John Hoof and his wife Tina, is a crumbling mess.
There are times that I'll come in and she's out busy doing something and he's sitting on the couch reading.
John is a self-proclaimed Sherlock Holmes fan, and his delusion runs deep. He dresses like Sherlock, talks like Sherlock, and even tries to solve mysteries around the hotel.
Halloween for John every day. He loves to dress up.
It's the cast! It's the bloody cast!
It's like a bad cosplay event that never ends, and it sets the stage for a very bizarre experience.
As John is more focused on playing dress-up.
How was that, Watson?
The decor at the Roosevelt Inn is nothing short of hideous. The lobby is cluttered with Sherlock Holmes memorabilia, outdated furniture, and creepy old photographs that give off a haunted house vibe.
I'd say that the hotel is struggling because it's dated, it's old.
As Chef Ramsay tours the property, he's greeted by peeling wallpaper, stained carpets, and a general sense of neglect. The guest rooms are even worse, small, pink, and just dated, and not forget, just absolutely filthy.
Oh, everything looks like we're in a time warp.
The mattresses are stained, the bed sheets are covered in bed bugs, and there are mysterious marks on the walls that no one wants to investigate further.
An absolute mess.
John's delusion extends beyond his Sherlock obsession. He also fancies himself a chef, but his cooking skills are abysmal.
I play the part of Sherlock Holmes, old man.
You're playing an Englishman.
I am playing an Englishman.
In one unforgettable scene, Chef Ramsay watches in horror as John struggles to boil an egg properly.
Oh, it's raw. Is this really happening?
The kitchen is a disaster zone, dirty, disorganized, and completely unhygienic. There are rotten vegetables in the fridge, moldy leftovers, and a pervasive smell that makes Chef Ramsay gag. One particularly disturbing moment is when Chef Ramsay finds raw chicken stored next to cooked food, a blatant health hazard that could make anyone sick.
The seasoning is dreadful.
Chef Ramsay's inspection of the guest rooms reveals even more horrors. The mattresses are stained and sagging, the bed linens are infested with bed bugs, and the bathrooms are covered in grime.
It's there. Oh my God.
One guest room has a massive stain on the carpet that looks like it could be blood, and another has a bathtub so dirty that Chef Ramsay wouldn't let his worst enemy bathe in it. The overall condition of the rooms is beyond unacceptable. It's a health hazard. Chef Ramsay's exploration of the kitchen is where things really take a turn for the worse. The level of filth is staggering. He finds expired food, dirty utensils, and a general lack of cleanliness that's enough to make anyone lose their appetite. In one shocking moment, Chef Ramsay discovers a pot of moldy soup that's been left out for days. The kitchen staff is clearly untrained and overwhelmed, and John's delusional belief that he's a master chef only adds to the chaos. The restaurant's food is another nightmare. Chef Ramsay sits down to taste the menu, and it's a disaster from start to finish. The dishes are bland, poorly cooked, and completely unappetizing. One guest describes their meal as the worst thing I've ever tasted, and Chef Ramsay can't help but agree. The pinnacle of the culinary disaster is when John tries to serve Chef Ramsay a special dish that turns out to be a revolting mess of overcooked meat and under-seasoned vegetables. Chef Ramsay's reaction is priceless, pure disgust and disbelief. Despite the overwhelming challenges, Chef Ramsay doesn't give up. He implements drastic changes, from cleaning up the decor to overhauling the kitchen's hygiene practices.
Making this place better. I need you committed.
I want the help.
The staff is retrained, and a new menu is introduced to bring some semblance of quality to the restaurant.
A list of dishes for the whole week.
The transformation is nothing short of miraculous, but it's clear that it will take more than just a few changes to fix the deep-rooted issues at the Roosevelt.
Whoa!
Okay, this is stunning.
This is amazing!
By the end of the episode, there's a glimmer of hope for the Roosevelt Inn, but it's evident that the road to recovery will be long and arduous. Chef Ramsay's intervention has provided the staff and the owner with the tools they need to turn things around, but whether they can maintain these changes remains to be seen. This episode of Hotel Hell is a rollercoaster ride of emotions, from disbelief and disgust to hope and redemption. The sheer level of mismanagement and chaos at the Roosevelt Inn makes it one of the most memorable episodes in the series. Up next, we have yet another crazy family who are the owners of Maison de Mesilla, a New Mexico-based hotel run by a bunch of awful lunatics. From the moment Chef Ramsay set foot in Maison de Mesilla, he knew he was in for one heck of a ride. Greeted by the eccentric owner, Callie Stowinski, Chef Ramsay quickly realized that this hotel was run by someone who seemed more fit for a reality TV show than the hospitality industry. Callie, with her bizarre sociopathic tendencies and erratic behavior, set the tone for what would be an unforgettable experience.
Bed and breakfast in 2006 and completely remodeled it, putting her own distinctive taste and style.
The hotel's decor was an assault on the senses. It was like walking into a nightmare of mismatched themes and gaudy furnishings. The rooms were filthy with dirty linens, grimy furniture, and a lingering smell that made you want to hold your breath.
The bedrooms are beige, with beige and a little beige.
The walls are freaky.
It was clear that cleanliness was not a priority at Maison de Mesilla. Chef Ramsay couldn't believe the state of the rooms, dust-covered surfaces, stains on the carpets, and a general sense of neglect. The whole place felt like it hadn't been properly cleaned in years.
That was not me. Looks like someone's pooped on my wall.
Oh, got a little fireplace.
But it wasn't just the decor and the dirt that were shocking. The behavior of the staff and the owners was downright disturbing. Callie, the owner, had a reputation for being rude and condescending, not just to her staff, but to her guests as well. Her attitude was ghastly, and it was evident that she had little regard for anyone but herself.
If you're not looking at me, you think I am, Cher.
The staff, under her toxic leadership, were demoralized and seemed to be going through the motions without any real enthusiasm or dedication.
They should be fired for being a poor operator and digging this thing into a hole.
News about the hotel's terrible management had even made it to the papers, painting a grim picture of a business in turmoil. Guests complained about the rude treatment, and there were rumors that the owners and staff were often high on something, which Chef Ramsay himself started to suspect as he observed their bizarre behavior.
She's short, she's not flexible. I think you get the picture.
It was like the whole place was being run by a bunch of stoners who had no idea what they were doing. The kitchen was another horror story. Chef Ramsay was appalled by the state of the kitchen and the storerooms. The food was stored in unsanitary conditions, and the kitchen itself was a mess. Dirty dishes piled up, food was left uncovered, and there was a general lack of hygiene. The food being served was equally disappointing. Guests were treated to meals that were poorly cooked, bland, and often inedible. Chef Ramsay couldn't believe that anyone would willingly pay to eat such atrocious food. Customers' disappointment was palpable.
Hey, frozen. Just touch that. Oh, yes, sir. It feels like rubber. I don't eat the fish here, sir.
During one dinner service, guests were visibly upset with the quality of their meals. The complaints ranged from undercooked meat to tasteless sides, and it was clear that the restaurant was failing miserably. Chef Ramsay tasted the food and was almost speechless at how bad it was. The lack of basic culinary skills and the total disregard for food safety left him furious.
Yes, and this is olives and anchovies.
Popular dish?
No.
Callie's delusions of grandeur and her insistence that she knew better than everyone else made it nearly impossible for Chef Ramsay to get through to her. She was convinced that the hotel's problems were everyone else's fault but her own. Her sociopathic behavior, coupled with her bizarre management style, made for some of the most cringeworthy moments in Hotel Hell history. Despite the overwhelming challenges, Chef Ramsay did his best to turn things around. He implemented strict hygiene standards in the kitchen, retrained the staff, and gave the hotel a much-needed makeover.
Gotcha. Beautifully marinated, seasoned lovely with extra virgin olive oil. Fish tacos as well.
The decor was toned down to a more cohesive and welcoming theme, and the rooms were thoroughly cleaned and refurbished. Chef Ramsay introduced a new menu with fresh, well-prepared dishes, hoping to restore some level of respectability to the hotel's restaurant. By the end of the episode, there was a glimmer of hope for Maison de Mesilla, but it was clear that Callie's attitude and behavior would be the biggest obstacles to any long-term success.
One condition, she stays off that bloody microphone and makes her guess the stars.
Chef Ramsay left the hotel with a sense of cautious optimism, hoping that his efforts would help turn the tide for this troubled establishment. This episode of Hotel Hell is a wild ride from start to finish, filled with shocking moments and jaw-dropping revelation. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check out the full episode for all the crazy antics and unbelievable scenes at Maison de Mesilla Hotel. But now, get ready for a historic hotel which lost all of its glory. Murphy's Hotel was featured in Season 2, Episode 8. Located in Murphy's, California, this historic hotel is owned by three friends Brian Goss, Kevin Clerico, and Joel Lesitignolo. During the time, it was revealed that the trio had less than 1 year of experience in the hotel business.
It's obviously the chef.
Yes.
Restaurant manager. And the lap dancer.
The owners looked more interested in partying than running the business. One of their employees, Conetha Smith, revealed that the owners used the hotel as their personal playground. Sometimes this happened at the premises.
Yes.
Can we ask you to check in for the room?
Are neglected.
When the trio had to work on their business strategies and tidy up the place, they chose to party instead.
I'm mad at Joel. I'm a owner. I don't want to clean.
The trio's unprofessional behavior irked the staff, who were fed up with the owners. Some of them revealed that Clerico often threatened them with their jobs.
What?
Yeah, when it comes to scheduling, how many days that you guys have asked off?
But speaking of disturbing moments, here comes an owner who had a pretty troubling issue. Monticello Hotel was a part of Season 2, Episode 2. Situated in Longview, Washington, Monticello, built in 1923, is one of the oldest buildings in Longview and was owned by Philip Lovingfoss. He inherited the hotel from the previous owner, Annabelle Jewell, to whom Lovingfoss was married after she passed away.
With his inheritance, Philip has been living the good life with his girlfriend and general manager.
Lovingfoss was basically an alcoholic. He had many run-ins with the law because of his alcoholism. In fact, Lovingfoss was arrested for DUI a day before Chef Ramsay's visit. Moreover, because of his alcoholism, he would often misbehave with his staff. Sometimes he was a jolly person, and sometimes he was very unpleasant towards his staff and threatened to fire them or even close down the hotel.
When he's drinking, I avoid him at all costs.
This behavior grossly affected the morale of the staff. Not only were the staff underpaid, but they were also overworked and stressed. Lovingfoss was running the hotel with his girlfriend Ginger, who was the general manager.
It takes extra time to do things homemade.
Yeah, naturally.
Lovingfoss lived a luxurious life along with Ginger and his many luxury cars. He had absolutely nothing to do with his staff. All he did was splurge money on himself and his girlfriend. Meanwhile, the underpaid staff worked with poor quality food and equipment.
Yay, we're getting in the dark.
Wow, look at those beautiful cars. It must be a car show on.
Most of the rooms in the hotel were occupied by Lovingfoss and his girlfriend. Ginger's junk, and only 4 rooms were available for the guests. Lovingfoss hardly did anything all day. He tried to show himself off as a hard worker, but Chef Ramsay knew better.
Countless rooms stuffed with Philip and Ginger's crap.
The careless owner lied to Chef Ramsay about his addictions and denied any problems with his staff. The hotel was also poorly maintained and very filthy. Post-Hotel Hell, Lovingfoss registered himself into a program to fight his addiction. The revenue of the business also increased and the staff was paid better. However, in January 2014, the lounge and restaurant in the hotel were closed by Lovingfoss and Ginger so they could pursue other ventures. Most of the guests were upset about the closure. In July 2016, Lovingfoss was back to being his old self. He was sentenced to 90 days in prison for threatening a district court judge. In September 2016, the hotel was listed for both sale and lease after Lovingfoss and Ginger ran into debt. In early 2017, the hotel got new owners and recruited new staff. In October 2017, there was a large multi-million-dollar remodel of the hotel. Monticello was closed permanently in August 2019 and was converted into studio apartments. After all the reforms were put into effect, Post-Hotel Hell, Murphy's Hotel, had received mixed reviews with regular customers missing the old look and menu. However, most people love the new look too. As of 2022, the hotel is still open and serving, but its reviews are still not great. On TripAdvisor, they have 3.5 stars. On Facebook, it's 4.5 stars, and on Yelp, it's 3.5 stars. Most of the negative reviews talk about the noise and the owner's lousy attitude. However, some of them talk about the bar having a great vibe. As we wrap up our deep dive into the most disturbing moments from Hotel Hell, it's clear that Chef Ramsay faced some of the craziest, most appalling situations ever. From the grumpy old owner of the Cambridge Hotel, whose stubbornness was matched only by the hideous decor and haunted vibes, to the River Rock Inn, where Chef Ramsay was greeted with filth and incompetence. Then there was the Keating Hotel, with its weird quirks and unsanitary conditions, and the Towns Inn, where the deluded owner's antics were downright shocking. We can't forget the Roosevelt Inn, with its wannabe Sherlock Holmes owner and revolting kitchen. And finally, the Maison de Mesilla Hotel, where sociopathic behavior and horrid hygiene reigned supreme. Each hotel presented unique challenges, pushing Chef Ramsay to his limits as he tried to save these establishments from their own disastrous management. The combination of disgusting food, filthy conditions, and knucklehead owners made for some of the most memorable moments in reality TV history. If you enjoyed this wild ride through Hotel Hell, don't forget to smash that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, share this video with your friends, and hit that subscribe button for more spicy updates on all things Hotel Hell. Stay tuned for more jaw-dropping episodes and behind-the-scenes madness. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe and turn on my post notifications, and if you thought this video was crazy, then you have to check out the next one right here. It's even better.